Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Crypt Choir. I am your host, Lewis, otherwise known as Dixie Normus, and with me, my co-host, Dylan, otherwise known as Wizardly Dill.
Wizards only, fools.
Yeah. Welcome back, everybody. Dylan, how was the week?
It was really good. It was really busy. I'm finishing up a project at work, doing a lot of music stuff and hitting the gym pretty hard. I started playing soccer this week with some of my old friends, and I'm just trying to get a little time to like figure out schedules and stuff. Going through like a season of change, and so learning how to navigate all that is the thing.
Well, that's good. I have been busy trying to do my D&D stuff that I do on the side and planning for these big tournaments. I'm going to one in Ohio next month. The Cowtown Showdown. I didn't realize there's another big one over in Georgia in like 3 weeks. And now I'm trying to see. Yeah, first place is $5,000.
That'll pay for your plane ticket and some pocket money for sure.
Yeah, I like completely lost track of time. The CCS Summer Showdown. I'm gonna see if I could make it to that one, but like really short notice, and that's like 2 plane trips and 2 hotel weekends. That's pretty rough, but
it's a little pricey.
Yeah, but I kind of want to go regardless. So
that sounds pretty sick.
Yeah, that would be really cool. So on here it says first place 5,000, second through fourth 1,000, and then 5 to 16 200. Pretty good.
Not bad.
Yeah. So that's what I've been up to. Hopefully I do that one. But let's get into our first topic of today, and it's going over the update to the well, it's the comp REL MTR / IPG Addendum. I don't know what all that stands for. I'm sure some people might, but basically the competitive rules and stuff we use for cEDH. So we're just going over some of the new updates on this addendum. There's a lot of it is just kind of, I think, clarifying better like tournament mechanics, tournament rules, and stuff like that. So that's cool. But the first thing I want to go over is the MTR 3.1. Any player receiving a bye will have 3 opponents added to their opponent history with a 0.2 win percentage. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was a 0.333 win percentage, and I'm pretty sure that got reduced down to 0.2, which is I don't know how much that's gonna affect. I know in general people aren't too happy getting buys just because you're not playing Magic and you're not getting that like opponent win percentage. And I think this helps incentivize of like you don't want buys, because even though you didn't want to buy, it's like if you got to buy first round, you're like, oh cool, you know, I got a free win and 0.3 percentage, like it's all upside really. If I get it like round 1, maybe even round 2, it's not that big of a deal. Now I think it is more of a big deal. Maybe tries to help incentivize organizers to try to get more people to show up so there aren't any buys.
Or incentivize players just to be, you know, more on top of it in their later rounds or, you know, earlier rounds, because now a buy is worth even less. So like, yeah, I won my first round, lost my second one. If I get a buy this round, I might be boned. I might not even make the top cut. So
right, I think that's gonna suck in the later rounds, like you said, getting that buy. If you get it like round 1 or round 2, it's a little easier to like work around and play with. But if you like, you know, like lose, win, and then get a buy, you're like, fuck, like my only out is a win, and even then maybe I just get fucked, like you said, like even with that win, regardless, like you just get bubbled out just because of that low win percentage from that buy.
Yeah, and hold on, I need to turn my fan off. Sorry, guys. All right. Well, hopefully it didn't sound like I was at the airport or something.
No, you're perfectly fine.
Okay. So like we were saying, getting a bye now, kind of lame. Kind of lame overall.
It's still obviously better than a loss. I don't know if...
Is it better than a draw?
That's what I was thinking of. I don't know what the win percentage is on a draw, if it's 0.33. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's the win percentage on draws. What's that math there? I never like really bothered looking into this stuff. Just like, I mean, as a cEDH grinder, I feel like I should, but you know, my mind's just like, just not lose and not have to worry about what any of this really means long term or statistical wise with my, you know, points and whatever and matchmaking.
Right.
So maybe now this kind of gets more cEDH grinders to like start thinking about these things more.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Is there anything you wanted to talk about that sticks out to you, especially since, you know, we do a lot of cEDH here locally, but you don't attend a lot of tournaments. Is there anything here that sticks out to you?
I mean, in the rulings overall, or just in this first one?
No, any of these. Anyone you want to go over?
I feel like we should probably go over 3.13 and then the top cut layout that is in here.
I feel like those are like the biggest things. Yeah. Okay. So for MTR A 3.13 is clarification on hidden information. Hidden information is a resource to be shared at the controlling player's own discretion and may be shown to as many players as they choose. If a player is shown the face or faces of cards in a hidden zone, they may not display those cards to anyone at the table who does not have permission to see them. Players are, however, free to communicate this type of info both verbally or through written notes. Example, while controlling a player with effects such as Oppo Agent or Mindslaver, hidden information you legally have access to permits you to be able to share or reveal it as though it were hidden information you control.
So what's that mean in a nutshell?
I think so we were going over this earlier, and I think this doesn't clarify enough that, so say I cast Praetor's Grasp and I put down I steal something from your deck and put it face down. Nobody has access to it because they just don't have permission to see it. It's a hidden card. But if you start controlling me through it, you can look at it because you now have access to it. But I believe you still can't reveal that information because the other players don't have permission to see that information. But that's different with like your hand and stuff like that.
Right.
So I think that's what that means. I'm pretty sure. If I'm wrong, someone in the comments that want to clarify more, but I think that's what that means.
That's what it sounds like it means to me.
Right. So that's,
which is nice.
Yeah.
Obviously, like more clarification on this ruling is going to be needed, but it's nice that this exists for now. It's headed in a good direction.
Right. Let's see.
You want to talk about 4.1 and 4.8 really briefly before we get into top cut layout?
I want you to talk about 4.1 and give me your perspective, since you really only have like one big tournament, and I want you to tell me about like how much of this was an issue, if at all, and how do you think this might play out? Go ahead and read it.
4.1 reads, the active player may request the table to stop excessively influencing game actions to progress play. Failure to do so may result in an unsporting conduct minor penalty. Basically what that means is if someone's like over politicking or over talking or just like, you know, playing mind games with people. Are you sure you want to do that? Well, I don't know if that's the right move. You can call a judge now and they might get an unsporting conduct minor penalty. So at the tournament, in my experience, I definitely lost one of the rounds that I did lose because this player playing Kalia was just politicking over everyone in the table, and granted, one of his friends was also at the table with us. I think this is a good ruling because, the levels of manipulation for new players, especially, are mitigated because of it. And it does allow some, for lack of better words, a veteran player lookout for when this happens. You could be sitting at a table with a brand new guy and maybe some guy that is obviously experienced and manipulating this dude pretty well, and you can be like, hey, that's not cool, and you're doing too much to influence this guy's game play. I'm gonna call a judge right now. A big problem with the ruling and the wording in this is excessively, and trying to convince a judge that this is excessive is going to require a long conversation. So when this does come up, be mindful about well, if I call this, how much of this is going to eat up the clock, because you are limited on how much time you have to play this game. And those are my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think another problem with that too is if there's an experienced player and 3 brand new players. I'm sure most new players are just not going to know what the comp REL is and what any of these rules are, and they don't know that this is something they can call a judge for. So I really hope in these next upcoming tournaments, organizers and judges are more hey guys, just so you know, there's also some updates here. The big ones, there's 4 of these things I think they really need to talk about and bring up at the beginning of the tournament. The rest of them are just kind of you just don't have the time really to go into these kind of details. But you can let remind players hey, if someone is excessively influencing the game, you can call a judge. And like you said, how do you provide proof of that? I think it's just the other players are just gonna have to speak up and be no, yeah, he's he keeps talking, or he's yapping and he won't stop. So that we'll have to, I'm sure we'll get into a lot of situations like that, especially with the big yappers in the community Memo and Satellites, and I'm sure all the other players too, but those are 2 notorious yappers. So I'm excited to see what kind of unsportsman conduct penalties they get in the future from their yappage. But yeah, I think that's I think this is a good thing. I think this is gonna help with some of the players, especially those that are more socially not experienced, so they kind of just turtle up and just get yapped on and don't really do anything about it.
Get yapped on.
Yeah, I mean this this hobby and other hobbies like this, there's just a lot of socially awkward majority men that just guys that just and don't really have strong social skills. So I can see this helping them out.
Oh really? I hadn't noticed.
Yeah, I don't know if it's kind of it's a little hidden secret that nerds are not socially strong,
Yeah, definitely.
So I think this is good change. I think this is a good thing to add. I don't know if this was added before and they clarified, or this is brand new, but this is good. I like this direction.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's good. 4.8.
Yeah,
addition.
Talk about this one too, and let me know if this has happened in any of your games as well, because I'm pretty sure it happened in your Sisse game, I think.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
4 point addition to reversing decisions. Because cEDH is a social game, players can influence others. In order to allow for fast and natural play, players may do so after an action has been taken in order to convince that action's controller to change their mind. This will naturally result in that player gaining new information, but if that information was shared in service of the decision being reversed, a judge may allow that player to do so. The judge must secure the information was given in order to change the current play. And the example they give for this is player B casts a counterspell targeting player A's spell, and player C tells player B to hold it for something else. B may undo the cast. So
do you remember what happened?
Yeah, I do. Actually, it was two things that happened congruently. I was doing an LED like Winds of Change line, which it's not a great line. It's no longer in the obelisk that I'm running, but at the time it was a line, and I was doing that, and I missed like the opportunity for me to cast a tutor the last time I would have been able to from doing that LED Winds of Change, or sorry, it's Burning Inquiry, LED Burning Inquiry thing. And you know, right on the turn that I did it, I was like, oh, I'd like to step back and redo this. And everyone at the table said, no, you can't do that. And so I said, okay, I'm going to play this Disciple of the Vault and end my turn. So that was the first instance of that happening in this game, where everything would have been changed had this ruling been clarified. The second was and it goes into, in order to allow for fast and natural play. So everyone at the table was telling this Emil, this Sisse player, that he couldn't Emil Dockside with like what was on the board, including the Disciple of the Vault. And you know, he was like, no, I can. And you know, he proceeded to do his combo until we called a judge, and he was like, okay, we can't do this. No, okay, it was the Teferi thing, right? Where I'm sorry, I'm lost.
It was the removal on the Emil, I believe. They were trying to remove it, and they like backpedaled, and there was like a big back and forth of allowing it, and something like that. Yeah, I don't know if you remember.
I flipped into the Black Exile spell that casts for free if you have your commander
Deadly Rollick.
out. Deadly Rollick. I flipped into a Deadly Rollick, and I was like, okay, Rollick on this. I flip into a Deadly Rollick. Priority goes to me. I'm going to cast this Deadly Rollick and target your Emil. And we called a judge because of like the timing restriction on that. I don't think it's particular to this. It definitely had to do with oh no, because he cast something on top of it. He flashed in a JLo, and he was like, I'm gonna flash in the JLo, recast Sisse. And I still had like the trigger on it, and he was like, oh no, I meant to like cast the Teferi to undo that.
Yeah,
which wouldn't have.
Yeah, he was allowed to reverse the decision, and it was like very like trying to backpedal, figure out where we're at. So this would have just helped that be a little bit for that to go smoother, just because like I know they were like, man, we spent like 5 minutes of like talking with the table, and they're like, no, like he messed up, he did, you know, he messed up, we need to do that. So this for sure would be in that guy's favor if this rule was in play, but it definitely would have sped up gameplay at least. Like that would have been like the only good part about it. And I'm sure there's lots of times when stuff like this happens too, like, you know.
Yeah, that Sisse player's turn took like 30 minutes of the round.
Yeah.
Because of the judge call, and it resulted in a tie. Had that not happened, either Blue Farm that was sitting across from me or I would have won, because we were both in like much better positions to do so. Yeah, but it ended in a tie. I'm glad that this is clarified. Just because I would have won on my turn had like this had been clarified in the first place. Like I would have just been like, okay, I'm gonna backpedal one step and cast this instead. Because I hold the right to change my mind.
Right. I mean, there's still that like little caveat in here that like, you know, the judge is still gonna be like the final say so on it. So that's kind of good too to have on it. But I feel like that might be difficult in some of these smaller tournaments where the judges aren't very experienced. Because there's lots of times like where I go to smaller tournaments where the players are just vastly more knowledgeable and experienced than the judge, or the people acting as judges are, which usually are the store owners. And I don't blame them. I'm like, yeah, they're running a store. They're not playing and keeping up with these like rules and stuff for like one format of this huge game. So I'm not gonna blame them for it, but that's kind of what happens a lot. So hopefully they kind of read this, but I mean, I don't know if they're not like a very magic centric store. I doubt they're gonna read this and know about this, but you know, at least it's here and the information's here for them to learn if they want to, or at least for the players to know as well, so they can bring it up to the TOs or whoever's acting as judge. Be like, hey, you know, it's part of the rule in this here that you know you could do this. But it is your call to make that change. So I think, and this is also good too, because there's lots of times where people just kind of like windmill slam something dumb, and people, you know, the people are like, whoa, hold on, what are you doing? What are you doing? There's this and this and this, and then you know, there's always that one player who's just like, nope, let it go. That he casts it, sorry. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I've definitely have done that too, where someone like just throws it onto the stack, and I'm just like, nah, man, you cast it, sorry, and because it's obviously beneficial to me. But just having this rule in place just helps. I think helps newer players to not just walk into something that they don't know what they're walking into, and other people could be like, no, it's fine, you can take it, you know, nothing's changed, you can take it back. And if someone wants to like, you know, challenge that, obviously the judge still could come over, but it is here for the judges to be like, no, it's fine, nothing changed, they can take it back, it's okay.
Right. Real quick, do you think we could drop a link to this in the description for this video, the document we're looking at?
Right, it will be linked, yeah.
Okay, cool. So check out the link if you want to just have these readily available to you. We want to help you get the information, and we love our listeners, and I want to make sure you got the goods. You show this judge this piece of paper, and you say, hey, Crypt Choir, the best cEDH podcast in the whole damn world, and he's gonna know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. He's gonna say they gave me this information right here, and it's legit. It's too legit to quit, and so for that you must listen to me. Yeah.
The next thing I wanted to bring up is a lot of like gameplay errors and tournament errors, like miss triggers, hidden card info, tardiness, deck list problems, deck problems. A lot of those things, some of these things used to be like just straight up game losses. It seems like across the board, a lot of game loss stuff has been like eased up to just be turn skips or like warnings and stuff. So that's cool to see, because I would hate to like play a 3-man pod because someone's like, oh yeah, I got like 2 fucking soul rings or something, you know, like whoops. However, if it's something pretty drastic though, like, oh oopie, I had 2 dark sides in my deck, that's something I would probably challenge the judge and be like, this guy's obviously trying to cheat. Like, you don't just have 2 dark sides. If you had like, you know, 2 soul rings, 2 signets, 2 lands, 2 some other random card, I can give you the benefit of the doubt of like, oh yeah, that's just you messed up or something. But like, definitely not something with like 2 dark side, 2 thasses, 2 breaches, 2 brain freeze, like something like that. I don't know about that.
You're talking about my cEDH deck, right? Where I run 2 thasses, 2 breaches.
Right, yeah.
I'm just kidding. No, I mean, like, to err is human, and like, you know, I've definitely had, you know, oh shoot, I have a second talisman in here, I'm sorry, like, oh beans, like this is the wrong land for this type of deck. I just, you know, I grabbed my land pile and I shuffled it in real quick, I'm sorry. Like, to err is human, and I think that you know, putting it on a turn skip is much better than a round loss, because like you said, no one wants a 3-pod. If you like 3-pods, then you are a sadist of a different breed, and I applaud you and fear you at the same time.
Truly. There's something I noticed. I don't know if this used to be a match loss, but I'm just now actually noticing it, is outside assistance. A player, spectator, or other tournament participant does any of the following: seeks play advice or private info about their match from others once they have sat for their match, gives play advice or reveals private info to players outside of their match who have sat for their match during a game, refers to notes other than the Oracle pages made before the official beginning of the current match, and then see something section for proper use of devices. That's big. I know, I don't know if anyone remembers, but there was a big kind of like, I wouldn't say it was a big deal, but it was kind of a like, the judges had to like speak up and be like, hey guys, we need to chill out, when it was a top 16 game, and one of our buddies was in it, Nico. He was on his Karakushima deck, and on one of the top 16 games, there was some guy playing, and his buddies were like kind of around, and they like freaked out when like he drew a card, and obviously it's not in his favor that his friends freaked out, because now like the table knows, oh, he got gas, and they can like maybe try to stop it. But that was like a big deal where like the judges were like, all right, you guys, like you need to like chill out. Like the judges had to speak up and tell people like, if you can't keep it down or keep it straight, like you got to get out of here, like get away from this play space. So it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was big enough for the judge to say something. And if this was in place, I'm sure the judge could have given those people and possibly that player a match loss. So this is pretty big. I like this. This is pretty good to make sure people on the sidelines aren't doing anything, and to ensure people at the table aren't trying to get info they're not supposed to be grabbing.
Yeah, it seems good to me.
Yep.
You want to go over top cut layout before we switch topics?
Yeah, I'll go over it. But it's a little hard really to go over it. I'll say what it. Okay, so the top cut layout. We're playing seed order with the highest seed taking the first seed. Parts of top 16 should have created as such, which I'm gonna post up on the screen for people to see the top 16 cut. And then there's also how it should look like for top 10. So it'll be up on the screen for people to take a pretty good look, gander at it. But like Dylan said, it's linked down below for you guys to pull up and look at while we talk about it. First thing I want to talk about is this is good for incentivizing people to get really good and get up into like 4 seed, because then if you're a first, second, third, or fourth seed, you're going to be playing first in your top 16, which is really good. It's got like this little snaking pattern, which is cool. I don't know what that means. I mean, I'm not a math guy, Dylan. I don't know if you know more about this kind of breakdown for the math and stuff. Don't really have much info.
I mean, if you were to, and like I just did quick averages on all these, if you were to take the average of the first 3, I didn't do the last one. I just assumed it would be the same, but if you do the averages for the pods, it comes out to about 8.5. So I mean, in a perfect world, all of these pods are incredibly equal depending on difficulty. However, and this is going to be like jumping ship before we talk about like a bunch of different things, but the biggest problem with cutting for top 16 with this seeding arrangement, at least in my opinion, it comes down to how the first player, the person in first seat, politics when it does cut to top 16, because everyone in your pod knows that you are doing better in this tournament than the rest of them. So there's a huge incentive for the rest of the pod to be like, hey, you know what? Frick this guy. We're gonna make him arch enemy. We're gonna shut him out of this game so one of us can potentially reach top 4. So that is a thing. It doesn't reward you, obviously, for doing better, like you said, in your earlier rounds. But yeah, not not a perfect system, though I doubt that there is one.
Right. I think this might also help with the IDing problem, since people in fourth seat might be too scared and don't want to ID because, you know, they're in fourth seat. They want to be in a better seat in top 4 and just straight up make it there. Well, sorry, not ID. This is going into top 4. I think this layout helps people understand that, like, okay, I don't really want ID. I want to try to play and try to get as much wins, because even if I, like, you know, win one, lose, win, draw, I can be put in, like, you know, fourth seat or something. Like, I can, like, maybe I won't be that high in seating, and this prioritizes people to, like, I want to win. I don't want ID, because they want to be put in a better seat position in their top 16 to have a better chance to get into their finals game. So I think I misunderstood this initially. This is the cut before it's a top 4. So this is like, this is what you're looking at, this is where you're going to be at. So you want to do better. Instead of just trying to ID into your top 16, you want to play and win into the top 16. So that might help out the IDing problem. But I don't know, for some people, maybe they're just like, fuck it, I don't care. Like, you know, like Rogside, you know, they're like, I'll just, that's fine, I'll be on 4C. I'll just jam a turn 2 win regardless. Like, it doesn't matter to me. But I know with a majority of people, I think they're going to want to try to, like, win and not ID to get into a better seat position. And now we have the layout of, like, what it's going to look like for people. So now they can have that in their mind.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the things I think we wanted to talk about. Did I miss anything? Did we miss anything?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of other good info on here, some more clarification. Like we said, it'll be linked below if you guys want to do a little bit more in-depth read of all these items. But that's all the stuff we think was pretty big that we wanted to talk about. Let us know if we missed anything that we should have talked about. But now let's move on over to some juicy Modern Horizons 3 leaks. We got some new stuff leaked so far. I don't believe any of the stuff we're going to go over has been confirmed yet, but so far a lot of them have been confirmed, I think. So yeah, I think we're okay. But yeah, Dylan, why don't you go over with the first one you want to talk about?
So the first one I want to talk about is 6, and it's just 6, SIX. If you're a fan of lore, I think this is like the tree elemental or ent that Ren bonded with.
Yeah.
So that's pretty neat that it gets its own card now. So coming out from its supporting role into a leading tree beast role is 6. It's a 2 and a green legendary creature, tree folk, with reach, and it reads, whenever 6 attacks, mill 3 cards. You may put a land card from among them into your hand, and as long as it's your turn, non-land permanent cards in your hand have retrace. It also has in your graveyard, have retrace. It's a 2/4. So retrace means that you can discard a card and pay for its cost and cast it, right?
Yeah. So it basically has like flashback, but an additional cost is you have to discard a card, and it doesn't get exiled. It stays in the graveyard.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I could see, definitely some, Protean Hulk stuff comes to mind. There's definitely combo potential with this. You can get back your dock sides, you can get back your Thoracles. Lots of good stuff. Lots of really good stuff you can do with this.
This might enable some Sans red combos with the graveyard, because usually you go with Breach, and this might also help out Sans blue Breach combos if you don't have Brain Freeze or something. I'm not sure what, like, I'm not a graveyard mage, I'm not a green mage, so this card is completely outside my realm of knowledge. So I'm not sure what combos there is for this. But it does sound powerful. Like, I mean, we already know how powerful this potentially can be. There's fucking, like, you know, our format's basically dominated by Breach. So yeah, this seems powerful for sure. Like, absolutely.
Seems good. Seems very cool. Ouch.
Right.
My puppy's getting like teeth, and he loves.
Nippy.
Yeah, he loves to nip.
But yeah, that's 6 is cool. I'm excited to see it. I think this is what we needed for green. This is the kind of power we need for green, I think.
Yeah.
I would have preferred it
to, like this for green.
Yeah, I would have preferred it to be like colorless green to really solidify, like, hey, this needs to be in green decks instead of splashing other decks. Like, I'm really getting sick and tired of Wizards just not committing things more to a certain color. Like, they're just putting a single green pip. Like, it should be 2 green pips. Dockside should have been 2 red pips. Bunch of other stuff should be like, you know, double pips at least for how powerful they are in that color identity. Like, they need to really solidify that. Like, I'm gonna continue griping on that, and their Wizards obviously is gonna continue just not giving a shit.
Right. Let's move on to the next card we want to talk about. I want to talk about this card.
Okay, go for it. What's the next card you got?
You ready? So the next card that I'd like to talk about is a land card. And the land is called Archway of Innovation. It reads land. Archway of Innovation enters the battlefield tapped unless you control an island, and you can tap it for a blue. Or you can pay 4, I think it says. Is that it? 4? I don't know, it's hard to say. This picture. Yeah, it looks like it says 4. Oh no, tap it for a blue.
Yeah.
That's even better. Tap it for a blue and tap it. So pay a blue, tap it. The next spell you cast this turn has Improvise, which means that your artifacts can help cast that spell. They each produce 1 mana. The coolest thing. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was just clarifying that Improvise is basically convoke but artifacts.
Yeah, right. The coolest thing about this, right? Instantly, it like extra turns. This is a land that, you know, just gasses extra turn decks. I'm sure there's other combo stuff that you can do with this, maybe some storm mechanic stuff. But yeah, extra turns loves this. You tap your player dockside, tap your treasures, play that extra turn spell, and do it over and over again. This thing is tight. How much gas it's going to give those decks, I don't know. It's been a hot minute since we've seen an extra turns deck be a thing, really. I mean, you have Paco and Haldan, which is just okay. And for the other ones, I have no idea. But
I think this is just more gas for Urza. I think Mono Blue Urza has been just getting more and more hotness for the deck. I don't know if any of these cards are good enough to bring it back to cEDH to be a contender at all. But it could. This at least it could help. Same thing with like Mono Blue Teferi. I know we saw that for a hot second, but I'm not sure. Or maybe they're still just not good enough. But I think there's just more and more stuff like this coming out that makes those decks better. I don't know what other, like maybe Shorikai. I know Shorikai's artifact deck. They could be running more stuff. They can produce a lot of artifacts too. Maybe this might help out Shorikai with something. I'm not sure. But yeah, I think this has to go in some. I mean, it doesn't really need to go into artifact heavy deck. But I feel like that's where you want to, because in most other cEDH decks, the artifacts you have are mana rocks. So you really no point with having a spell Improvise when you're already tapping your artifacts for mana.
Right.
But yeah, so the only thing I can think about really that comes to mind is just the just Urza really. I don't know what other decks want this, or what decks are now gonna be coming to the forefront because of this. That's what I'm excited about.
Yeah, that's exciting stuff. You really don't know until it happens. And to all you deck builders out there, I can't wait to see what you do about it. One of the comments on that is Tolarian Academy at home,
True.
which I think is it's so true. Kudos to you, internet guy that commented that.
All right, I want to go over a couple cards now. So the first one I want to talk about is Wrath of the Skies. It is 1 white, or at least that's what it looks like. It looks like it's just 1 white and X sorcery. You get X energy counters. Then you may pay any amount of energy. Destroy each artifact, creature, and enchantment with mana value less than or equal to the amount of energy paid this way. So finally we got a playable planar cleansing. This is pretty hot. This is good for mono white, particularly stacks that I like to play, because you can just wrath the entire board with like 2 white mana. Like this seems great. Like I can just play 2 white mana, pay 2 of that, or even 2 white mana is gonna give you 1 energy, and just that 1 energy was probably gonna be enough. Destroy a bunch of rocks, bunch of dorks, bunch of other stuff. I think the sweet spot is 4 mana. If you really want to wipe everything for 3 or less. But like, yeah, 3 mana total on this would be good enough to like wipe all the signets, all the arcane signets, and everything, just about everything on the board. So this seems great. This seems like it could be pretty devastating, especially if you can get a board state that's pretty ahead and then just say fuck it, board wipe. I'm ahead of all you guys. I don't need any of the stuff that got blown up. Good luck clawing back from the game. What do you think about this, Dylan? You can't be hot about Meltdown and not be hot about this.
I don't know, man.
This hits more than Meltdown.
It's white though.
So?
Yeah, I don't know. It's good. It's very good. I think the fact that it uses energy is it's a tiny turn off for me, but it's very powerful, and I'm sure that we're gonna see it. Yeah, it's a very good early game board wipe, like you were saying. I mean, even mid game if you're playing against like Timna Tiny Soldier stuff.
Yeah. So we'll see if it comes out. I think it might be good enough in some low white X decks, especially like mono white. But yeah, I think it has potential, at least. I know we might see it in Winota because they like to flip into big stuff. So maybe they'll just do this for like 1 or 2 and 3 total or 2 total and just board wipe like a bunch of dorks to make way for attacks and stuff. Maybe we'll see Winota play this one. But right. Yeah, it's pretty good. Moving on next to is Abstruse Appropriation. I believe this is 1 white, 2 colorless, instant, devoid. So this card has no color. Exile target non-land permanent. You may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled, and you may spend colorless mana as our mana of any color to cast that spell. If this is correct and true, oh my god, I love this. Now you can, in mono white at least, I'm sure in other decks too, like maybe blue form might still run this. You can just yoink, like give me that Dockside, give me that Thassa, give me that Breach, give me that other win attempt, that other card. Like this seems really cool.
Seems very, very good. Yeah,
this seems pretty good. I don't know what is going to be cut to make way for something like this, but this has a lot of potential to be pretty nuts. And it's exile target non-land permanent. So like someone's like, oh yeah, 1 ring. Let me take that 1 ring actually, and I'll cast it myself on my next turn. Thank you very much. Okay.
Yeah, this definitely has the potential to shift games if you're in white.
Oh my god, imagine me in mono white, and then I just yoink somebody's Ristic Study.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal.
I yoink somebody's Smothering Tithe, counterbalance. Oh my god, this is fun. This is great. This just has a lot of potential to do a lot of weird, crazy stuff. So I'm excited for this. I really hope this is 2 colors and 1 white, and there's no hidden color. I can't see on the right side of the card if there's another color on the card, but it seems like it's mono white. And I really hope this is a real card. I'm excited for this. This seems super fucking cool.
Yeah, it does. Was there anything else you wanted to talk about?
I do, but what's the other cards you got?
Ooh, I only wanted to talk about those two, I think.
Really?
Oh, we have to talk about Volatile Storm Drake.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Volatile Storm Drake is 1 and a blue for a Drake creature. It's a 3/2 and reads flying, hexproof from activated and triggered abilities. When Volatile Storm Drake enters the battlefield, exchange control of Volatile Storm Drake and target creature an opponent controls. If you do, you get 4 energy, then sacrifice that creature unless you pay an amount of energy equal to its mana value. Why is this good? It's a second Gilded Drake. Why is it not as good as the Gilded Drake? Because unless you have, I mean, it's circumstantial, right? In cEDH, 4 energy is going to clear most gaps. The gaps that it won't clear are like your Tidespout Tyrants, your Hullbreaker Horrors, your Tivets.
Prom.
I think it's about Crom. Yeah, Wandering Archaics. In most cases, scenarios, though, this is great.
I think the floor is its removal for a creature. That's the floor.
The floor is removal for a creature. The ceiling is you get that creature, which is pretty high. I know that a lot of lists right now are kind of off Gilded Drake effects just because there's better things they could be doing. Adding 1 more in while Gilded Drake is in that position that, you know, isn't as good as Gilded Drake is. It's okay. Maybe Gilded Drake will see more play. Maybe we'll see more Storm Drake play. I hate this as an odd player. I think this is the worst. I don't want more Gilded Drake stuff, but you know, that is what it do. I also have Italian now, and I would like to run this in Italian. I think it's cool. So
I think Talon's like potentially the only list we'll see multiple Gilded Drake effects. I can't imagine other decks wanting more Gilded Drake effects. Like, I wouldn't. I would rather win the game than steal your fucking commander at sorcery speed or something, like steal your creature at sorcery speed. I don't know. Like, the highest you can get in like the ceiling with this card is like somebody has a Grand Abolisher, they don't win the game, so you just, okay, Storm Drake, take your Grand Abolisher, go for a win now. But like, I don't know. I feel like that's too niche. Like, I don't know if we're gonna see that very consistently. But yeah,
can you cast this with Born Upon a Wind?
Yeah, it'll have flash.
So with Born Upon a Wind, Drake seems a little more appealing.
There's still so many windows of interaction. Cast, you have priority. ETB target, you have priority. Like,
yeah.
I don't know who wants to run more Gilded Drake effects. That's the thing. Like, 1 is enough. I don't know why you would be wanting more than 1. And you're definitely not replacing Gilded Drake with this.
Yeah, I get that.
Like, I guess this doesn't die if they, you know, bounce the target or something like that. I mean, but yeah, I don't know. I still think Gilded Drake is better than this card in general, but I don't know. Whatever. But let's move on. I want to talk about another card called Disruptor Flute. 2 colorless mana, or just 2 generic, artifact, flash. As Disruptor Flute at ETBs, choose a card name. Spells with the chosen name cost 3 more to cast. Activated abilities of sources with the chosen name can't be activated unless they're mana abilities. So this is pretty similar to like Phyrexian Revoker, Pithing Needle.
Yeah, that was the one I was thinking of.
But the difference is this card taxes those cards, casting those cards, which I think could be better. Like, I know with Pithing Needle you can rip it off of a Urza Saga, and this you can't. But this has flash built into it, which is nice. You know, I guess this could be pretty good because this might be better in general overall, because you can see someone like, oh, I'm gonna cast like, a breach. So you're like, okay, cool. Flash and Disruptive Flute. I'm gonna name Brain Freeze. So now it costs 3 more mana to cast. So, with the LED, they only get just a 1 extra mana. So this could potentially stop those plays, or just, cast Disruptive Flute and name LED as well. Actually, I think it might be better to name Brain Freeze, because then they might be able to net even with... You might be able to still generate enough mana and then mill a bounce spell or something for Disruptive Flute. So I think it might be better depending on the situation, but I think it might be better to just name Brain Freeze. Same thing if someone's like, oh, Thassa, I'd be like, cool, Disruptive Flute, 50-50, name one of the combo pieces and hopefully it's in their hand. Or if you know what interaction pieces in their hand, you can cast this, naming it, so now it's harder for them to protect the win. So yeah, I don't... Problem with these kind of effects is like you just don't know sometimes what's cast, and if you cast it proactively, then they know what, they know the name of it and they can play around it. So you can never do these effects reactively because it's already on the stack, and then proactively they'll just remove it or pivot to another line. That's my issue with these types of effects. But it is, I think, better than Pithing Needle, just because it also taxes the cast of the card, and even if they pay the tax, they still can activate the ability of it. So, maybe it's still good enough to play it. Just name Gracios, name Kinnan, obvious ones, name Najila, make it expensive for Najila to come out, and then an extra 3 to activate its abilities. So it might still be good enough, I think, for generic stacks decks. What do you think, Dylan?
I think so too. I think it's good enough for generic stacks decks. I think because it has flash, there's some cool stuff that you can do to interact with people. Also, like, you can stop people from docksiding or breaching right when you do, so that's a huge thing. I think it's better for that reason than Pithing Needle, although it costs 1 more. Yeah, I like this. I don't know how viable stacks are with like the timing limitations in tournaments right now, but this is a good way to, just throw in a stacks piece that says no. If you're in white, this is kind of cool because it's like, it's more interaction for colors that don't have the best stack interaction.
Yeah, it's weird to me that they put flash on it, but if they're casting the spell you want to name with it, it's too late now. So I don't know.
I mean, you have to pay attention to what's being telegraphed if you have this in your hand.
Yeah.
And
you have to do that in general with stacks, but it's just weird that it has flash, but it has a cast, tax for stuff. I don't know. I'm so okay and glad that this does have flash. So now you can like do it at the end of a turn or something. But sometimes I could see some people being like, oh, I'm waiting for cast this at the end of the turn, so then I can have it out and name this card, and then the turn's like players like, okay, I'm gonna cast that card you were thinking of. It's like, well, fuck. But yeah.
But it does cost 3 more.
Right. All right.
It's pretty good. I like it.
Yeah. Moving on to some other cards I wanted to bring up. Really quick, I wanted to go over Guide of Souls. This one's a 1 white mana creature, human cleric, 1/2. Whenever another creature ETBs under your control, you gain 1 life and 1 energy counter. Whenever you attack, you may pay 3 energy. When you do, put 2 +1 counters and a flying counter on target attacking creature. It becomes an angel. Second part, don't really care about. It's the first part. When another creature ETBs under your control, you gain an energy counter. I don't know if there's any energy outlets or any loops with energy and like, ETBing, blinking stuff, but we definitely are seeing more ETB blink stuff. So I know it's been being pushed pretty hard in the past recent couple of years. So I'm waiting to see where the outlet is for these things other than like Alter the Brood and mill stuff like that. I think that's the only thing we have right now, really. So I'm hoping to see.
Go on to use the Aether Heart. You can flick it and take a bunch of turns.
I don't know how reliable that is in cEDH.
Yeah, I don't know how reliable it is either, but
But
it does exist.
we're getting more stuff like this. So maybe at some point Mono White's gonna get some pretty decent, maybe some Mono White Blink deck will come out or something. So that's gonna be pretty cool. So still waiting to see what happens with this. I know where that other creature that just came out in freaking, oh man, Ixalan, that one creature, whenever you cast a spell, you can make a little nerd.
Yeah.
This
The
coming in,
gnome.
get an energy, yeah, and then make other stuff. Like, I feel like there's, you know, soon there's gonna be some kind of loop there. I'm not sure when, but there's something there. The next card I wanted to go over is Marionette Apprentice. 1 colorless, 1 black, creature, human artificer, 1/2, fabricate 1, and whenever another creature or artifact you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life. This seems like a card for Ob, don't you think?
Yeah. I think it's gonna be real good, Knob.
Yeah. In Ob for sure. I don't know what other artifact. Well, not really, I guess. Like, Gen decks might play this. I don't know if there's any. I don't think they really care for it. I think this was like, honestly, a Ob Nixilis card and something in other formats like Modern or something. I don't know, but for sure this seems to be like an Ob card.
Yeah. I don't know how great it would be in but it seems like it'd be pretty decent. It's hard because there's a lot of good things happening with the list right now, so it's like a priority thing. And maybe I'm underselling it. Maybe, I have no idea.
I don't think this is better than Disciple of Law because, well, this doesn't see creatures. Disciple of Law only sees artifacts. So this sees creatures and artifacts. But Disciple is whenever an artifact goes to the graveyard. So that's your opponent's cracking treasures, clues, Lotus Petal, LEDs. Like, you know, Disciple's gonna see it, and this Marionette Apprentice won't. So I don't know if there will be room for Ob, but it is another Ob card, and I'm sure it's something good for other formats.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like this would be a good pinger if Ob had like an Aristocrats build.
Yeah.
Which I've toyed with the idea before. Aristocrats isn't great in cEDH. But maybe Ob can make it happen someday. I've definitely thought about it.
Right. Moving on from that, next one we have is Ashling Flame Dancer. This is 2 colorless, double red, legendary creature, elemental shaman, 4/4. You don't lose unspent red mana as steps and phases end. Pretty big. Magecraft. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, discard a card, then draw a card. If this is the second time this ability has resolved this turn, Ashling deals 2 damage to each opponent and each creature they control. If it's the third time, add 4 red. So
is this the mono red commander that everyone's been praying for?
I don't think so, but I think
It's real good.
is it better than Burgi? Because Burgi's giving you red mana for each spell you cast.
Yeah. This is giving you loot for each spell you cast. And then
After the 4th one.
after the 4th one.
Yeah, first time is if this is the second time, actually.
So the first time you loot, the second time you wipe the board.
Well, the second time says if this is the second time this ability has resolved, it deals 2 damage to each opponent, each creature, but it doesn't say instead. So you get both? You loot and you get that second one?
Yep. I think this is the mono red commander everyone's been praying for. I might be wrong.
Okay.
But this is really good.
So if you get the loot at each time, then I guess this is better. This is pretty good. That might beat out Burgi. or that commander slot in mono red Storm. I don't know how good it'll be in mono red. I don't know what is a deck you want to put this in the 99. I guess Clark Ashima, but I don't know what other deck would want this.
I don't think you even want it. No, because it's each opponent they control. I don't know. It's pretty good. So it doesn't wipe your board. It just deals with the rest of it. It's pretty hot. It's pretty hot.
Yeah, this might see something as a mono red card. I don't know what decks want it in the 99, but I can see people playing this in mono as a mono leader, mono red commander, and then doing some mono red Storm stuff. And I could see that happening. Sure. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Anything else?
One more card. I'm excited to see Ashling, but yeah, this one is, I think we have to talk about because it has potential. We have Eladamri Corvectol. I'm not much of a MTG historian, but Corvectol is a mix of three names back in the day. It's in the picture, it's Eladamri, his recently deceased daughter that he killed because she was a Phyrexian, and somebody else. Yeah, I wasn't around when this thing was happening here with Eladamri, so I'm not too familiar with the lore of it. But Eladamri Corvectol reads 1 generic, 2 green, legendary creature, elf warrior, 3/3. He's a thick boy. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast creature spells from the top of your library, and it has 1 green. Tap it. Tap 2 untapped creatures you control. Reveal a card from your hand or the top card of your library. If you reveal a creature card this way, and if you reveal a creature card this way, put it onto the battlefield. Activate only during your turn. So you get to say 1 green, tap it, tap 2 untapped creatures. Look at this photograph. That's pretty good.
Every time I do, it makes me laugh. Here's some toilet rock for you.
The best part too, if you're gonna see this too with some people that don't have interaction or trolling, it says reveal a card from your hand or the top of your library. If you reveal a creature this way, you put it onto the battlefield. So you can just be like, activate, look at this card. Okay, that's it. And it does nothing. But
you put it onto the battlefield.
Right. So I'm gonna put this Hullbreaker Horror on the battlefield. I'm gonna put this Hulk onto the battlefield. Highspout Tyrant, Thassa, Dockside, Emil, some big creature that does something. Yeah, we might even see what's his face come back. God, what's that demon that tutors? Razakath.
Razakath, yeah.
Yeah, might see Razakath.
I think this, I think is super cool about this is because you put the creature onto the battlefield. This is a cool way to get your Docens, huh? Because we're in green, we're gonna play Docen. Our Grand Abolishers. Yeah, this is a way we can get those into play without you guys having anything to say about it. Unless you have a Stifle, which who the heck runs Stifles?
I know for sure Kidden has to run this because I know a lot of time Kiddens are like, I got all these big creatures in my hand and I want them in the fucking deck. Now you can put them from your hand onto the battlefield with Eladamri. So that's pretty nuts. Right. So I'm sure we're going to see this play. And this is more stuff we're seeing that's really pushing green to be a little bit more powerful, which I do like. So now maybe we'll see some better stuff with green, with these effects, with 6, Eladamri, and other cards that have yet to be spoiled.
Yeah, Modern Horizons usually F's up our format pretty hard, and they're doing a great job so far.
So far, nothing has come out where I'm like, oh no, the format's fucked. Like, it's over. The only thing that has me like that, kind of, is Power Balance.
Yeah, Power Balance is insane. That's a red staple. I'm going to run that in every red deck I have. Why wouldn't I?
I think I'm going to try to fit it in fucking Blue Farm because, like, someone's casting something, you just reveal a counter spell, like, oh, cool, counter your ship. Whatever. Like... In
Ob, it's great. It's like, oh, you're going to cast this? Here's another pinger. You're going to cast that? Here's my burger,
Yeah, so that seems nuts. it's already seeming there's a lot of powerful cards coming out. So I'm excited to see what happens here. But I do like Aladamri, I do like green. I'm sure maybe we see Timna Thrasios come back with 6 and Aladamri and some other shenanigans. I feel like Aladamri, it might be better, might be taking the spot of Hermit Druid, since like Hermit Druid, you played it to get the Thas out, and now since this card's out, maybe you don't need the Hermit Druid one anymore, and you can just say, fuck Hermit Druid, I have Eladamri now. So,
or you run both, so you always have it, you know, like.
I don't know if you run both. I'm not a green player, like I said. I don't know what's the right call there, but I would definitely, like, at a first glance, I would cut Hermit Druid for this, because this is just safer in general.
Oh, what's the mono green toolbox commander that's C? Not Selvala, the other one. I can't remember.
I have no idea.
God, he lets you like grab creatures based on experience counters.
Oh, Yisan.
Yisan. This seems like a Yisan thing, you know? This seems like Yisan.
It's a little different because Yisan like ramps up and then you get those creatures, and then Eldamri's like, oh, if it's on the top of your library or in your hand, you just throw it down. So I'm sure we'll see maybe both in the 99 of whatever deck. I'm assuming Timna Thrasios or Thrasios X deck. So that's pretty cool. Maybe even Dargo Thrasios or Roger Thrasios with this, just to put down a Hullbreaker Horror onto the battlefield to get that going. I could definitely see that happening. But yeah, this is pretty cool. I think that's all the cards that we wanted to talk about that have come out thus far. Has your hype levels for Modern Horizons 3 increased or stayed the same?
It's increased for sure. When they told me that Modern Horizons was going to be centered around energy, I puked in my mouth a little bit because I don't like the mechanic. I mean, like, but don't like me yuck your yum, guys. If you're about energy, if you're like, oh yeah, like, this is my thing, and I've just been waiting for them to give energy some attention, like, good for you. I have never been a fan of it. When they announced, I think, MagicCon Chicago, they said that they're going to center it around that. I wasn't about it, but you know, I'm glad that they released stuff that is cool, and I'm pretty hyped about it.
Yeah, there's definitely. I don't hate energy, but I'm like apathetic about it. It's just like some, you know, one-off boring mechanic that popped up in a set that we're not going to see for years to come, and here it is. Years have came, and now we're seeing more of it. Is it better? Probably not, but for casual people, I'm sure it's going to be great.
Yeah, I mean, casual people will love this set. And
how long ago was
Power Balance will be $200.
Yeah. How long ago was Kaladesh? It was 8 years ago. So in another 8 years, when we get Modern Horizons 4 and we get more energy, maybe some cool energy stuff will be around, but until then, it's kind of just niche or whatever. Well,
right.
That's all the stuff we had for y'all today. Is there anything else you want to talk about real quick before we leave?
I told you guys I'm making music again. Life's been going pretty well. Working out a lot. What about you?
Just hoping to go to these tournaments and get some top 16s. Hoping for those top 4s. Praying for those wins.
Right on.
Yeah. So hopefully next time, I think this coming up weekend there's a tournament. There's Chaos. And there is a tournament in LA on that following Sunday if you're trying to go.
Following Sunday, possibly.
This Sunday, the 19th. First place is the Badlands.
Ooh, that would be cool. I'll keep you posted. This weekend is insane. I have a quinceañera to go to, like a graduation party, a birthday party.
Oh yeah, it's graduation like month or something, right? There's a bunch of graduations happening.
Yeah, but maybe I might be down. We'll see how Friday goes and how tired I am.
All right. Well, that's it for today. If you want to close us out.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening and going all the way to the end of the episode and hearing our thoughts about it. Sorry I've been sniffling so much. I need to take an allergy pill real bad. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe to all of your favorite all your favorite Crypt Choir stuff. And yeah, hit us up. Let us know what you think. If we did a good job, let us know. If we did a bad job, let us know. If there's something about the video or audio quality that you're listening to that you're not about, let us know. We appreciate all the feedback, and we appreciate you guys for coming on down once again and listening to us. And don't forget to roll for Crypt. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. See you next time.
See you next time.